The time is now 7 o'clock.
Doom scrolling, conspiracy theories. It is so easy to fall down the rabbit hole when you're online, right? Just watching one video may expose you to a whole algorithm of conspiracy theories. But these conspiracy theories may have made their way into mainstream politics, a concern raised by some conservative politicians about their own party. One of the words of the year, we went over this, is polarization. And it's so easy to fall into the extremes if we're not careful. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Thursday, December 19th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well and surviving the cold weather. We are well into winter now. Let me ask you this. Are you into scrolling? Yes, late at night, maybe when you're in bed or whenever you have free time. Well, a quick scroll on, for example, on YouTube or other online channels may reveal a whole list of eyebrow-raising headlines and titles. And these can range from clickbait to full-out conspiracy theories. But this is where things can get dangerous. When people start to buy into these conspiracy theories that probably aren't true. And this even happened with President Yoon Suk-yeol, who raised suspicions of election fraud as one of the reasons for his martial law declaration during one of his public statements. And some pundits and even members of his own party, they have pointed out that these views espoused by some far-right YouTubers may be dangerous. So former People Power Party, PPP chair Han Dong-hoon also warned against buying into these arguments from extremists and the fear that they create because it may be for commercial gain. But these conspiracy theories, they pop out of both ends of the political spectrum. So we're not just focusing on one end. And the problem is when these conspiracy theories, they come outside the internet. One YouTuber is currently going under trial for having infiltrated over 40 early voting sites, installing hidden cameras to monitor what, I guess, was going on. And experts say that most of these activities actually have to do with money. That spouting these conspiracy theories, well, that generates money. How? The more negative or sensational a video or an argument is, the more people click on these stories, thus leading sometimes to higher profit. And the question is this, the real question, how do we break the cycle? By connecting more with real people outside the internet in real life. That's what the experts say anyway. So they're calling for calm and full communication with friends and family. And while politics may be one of those kind of like no topics at the dinner table, real life conversations are important for at least a sense of perspective. So that's what we definitely want to do. We want to get some perspective in life, right? All right, well, now it is time for our text topic. If you tuned in yesterday, you might remember Jennifer. She talked about, making a comfort kit, kind of a first aid kit of sorts for your well-being. I kind of want to call it the comfort kit for your soul. That's what I'm going to call it. So what would you put in your comfort kit? 자, 어제 제니퍼가 얘기한 컴포트 키트, 내 마음 안정을 위한 키트를 만들어 볼까 하는데요. 자, 몸과 마음 안정 키트에 들어갈 물건은 제가 물건이라고 했지만 무엇인지 whatever it is, it's okay. 물건, 사람, 애완동물, etc. 하지만 my rule, 가죽은 금지예요. 이런 거 싫어요, 오늘. 저는 내 사랑하는 남편, 제 컴포트 키트에 꼭꼭꼭꼭꼭 꾸겨서 넣을 거예요. 그런 거는 금지고요. 자, for example, I know what I want to put in my kit. I thought about this. I don't know why lately I've been into milk tea. 저 요즘에 밀크티 원래 좋은데 요즘에 usually I have it cold, like iced milk tea. But lately, I've fallen in love with also the warm version. So I'm going to have some sort of milk tea in my comfort kit. What else? I'm also going to have a cozy warm blanket. I have a particular one. It's a faux fur. Meaning 진짜 펄가 아니라 가짜 펄, imitation fur, faux fur blanket. It's so cozy and it's probably made from like a synthetic material, but I don't care. It's so cozy and warm and it feels like my rabbit, but it's not fur. Okay. And also, I also want to put in a really good mystery thriller book with some murder in it. That makes me feel good. Don't ask me why. And I also want to put like a good 90s, to 2000s kind of playlist with obviously a device to play all those good R&B songs. That is what I would put in my comfort kit. I thought about this. All right. Well, you can send in all the items that you want to put in your comfort kit to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to that platform, search for BEFM or Busan Yongo Bang송, and you can subscribe. You can log in and chat away with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050 샵 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free on Kakao Talk as well. Same thing there. Search for BEFM. Busan 영어 방송 to add us as a friend and send in your messages or maybe, send in photos, whatever you like. The ways you can listen to our program, so many different ways these days. On the radio, if you're in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. Also, like I just said, YouTube. We're streaming live right now. You can watch at your leisure. We have 2 apps where you can listen to our program. You can download both for free. So we have our own app. So go to your store on your phone, type in same thing, BEFM. Download our own app, or you can use the Patbang app as well to listen to us. All right, so let's take a look ahead to today, Thursday. So we have coming up for you Chris with Beyond the Headlines and Stephanie with City Insights. That's coming up in hour number 2. Also for a special interview, we're going to talk about this once again because it is so important. Microplastics. I think microplastics, we've focused on this a few times this past year because it's making such an impact. We need to know the ins and outs, especially because we're a coastal city. We live, well, not all of us. Some of us live in Busan, right? So we need to know more about this, how this affects our health, what we can do to cut down on that. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:08. These are today's headlines. Constitutional Court orders Yoon to submit martial law documents. The Constitutional Court has ordered President Yoon Suk-yeol to submit the martial law decree from December 3rd, along with minutes from the 2 cabinet meetings before and after the declaration. Yoon fails to appear before CIO for questioning. President Yoon Suk-yeol has failed to appear before the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or CIO, yesterday, defying a summons for questioning. Former and current military intelligence commanders arrested. The former and incumbent commanders of the Defense Intelligence Command, DIC, have been arrested as they face allegations of having discussed martial law operation plans 2 days before martial law declaration. Acting President Han to convene cabinet contemplates veto of contentious bills. Acting President Han Duck-soo will convene an extraordinary cabinet meeting this morning to decide whether to veto 6 contentious bills, including the Grain Management Act. U.S. Fed Reserve cuts interest rates by 0.25%. The U.S. Federal Reserve lowered its benchmark interest rate by a quarter percentage point, bringing the rates to 4.25 to 4.5%, but signaled fewer cuts for next year. And these are today's headlines. It is now time for Busan Updates. We have Sue in the studio. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yay. So are you feeling better? I know it was very dry in here yesterday.
Yes, and I was getting anxious.
Hey, so before we dive into our updates, let's hear about what you might put in your comfort kit.
Right. I'm not like high maintenance person,
okay.
but I need a tweezer for my eyebrows. If I don't
really?
see it around, I'll be like so anxious.
Oh, so you need tweezers. In
Yeah.
Korea, what do we call that? Pinset?
네.
No?
집게?
집게? Okay.
네.
And also, 집게. Also, maybe a mirror?
Mirror, yeah, small mirror.
That might help
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to just be plucking.
Oh, you know so well.
Yes.
And plus anything that moisturizes my face, like lip balm and cream or lotion.
Oh,
Yeah.
or something that's going to moisturize your skin.
I can't stand dryness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, now we know more about Sue. She likes, working on her eyebrows, shaping them, make sure, they're looking nice. And you like lots of moisturizing, like lotion. All right. Very nice. Well, we're going to jump into our first update. And this is regarding Kamcheon Culture Village, one of Busan's most visited tourist spots. Well, it is launching initiatives to basically revitalize the area, correct?
Yes. So the village was originally a refuge for people displaced during the Korean War. To be personal,
Yes.
my dad's side is from the north. So when they settled down in Korea, the Kamcheon was the place. Yes. And it has evolved from a neglected area into a vibrant tourist attraction through art projects and some urban regeneration efforts.
Yes.
And it now draws around 2.6 million visitors annually, and most of them are foreigners. And so the Sa district announced that it will implement measures to transform many empty houses into tourism resources.
Yes, because who hasn't gone to, the Kamcheon Culture Village if you've been to Busan? But let's talk about some of the major issues. What's going on in this area?
Yes. First of all, the village attracts many foreign tourists, so it faces challenges from over-tourism.
Right.
So there are many complaints and dissatisfaction from local residents. Despite its popularity, the village has limited economic impact on the local community due to short visitor stays. So according to a recent study, around 57% of foreign visitors spend less than an hour in the village.
Okay.
So their main activity is to take photos at designated hotspots and just leave without engaging further. So this results in minimal spending on accommodations, food, or shopping. To address this, Sa district plans to expand tourism resources to encourage longer stays. And to address resident concerns, the district plans to separate residential areas from tourist routes to minimize disruptions.
I see. Well, what's another issue that we need to know about?
Yes, as you know, with an aging local population, 부산에도 고령화 시대가 가속화되면서 빈집이 많이 생겨나는데요.
네.
So vacant homes in the area are increasing, and this year 88 empty properties were identified. So the district will use a budget to purchase some of these properties and convert them into living experiential accommodations that reflect 1950s and 60s lifestyles and potentially community-style hotels.
Oh.
You know, like Jeonju 한옥마을.
Yes.
So the whole village is like a hotel.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
And that'll definitely get the visitors to stay longer than, as they say, the 1 hour.
Yes.
Definitely. What a great idea. I hope that works out. And we look forward to hearing more about that. Next, so let's talk about this. Busan City, the Busan City government and Busan Facilities Corporation. They've announced this measure to implement a smart tolling system. What is this?
Yes, so starting next February, Gwanghwadeok Bridge will be the first toll road in Korea that has no physical toll booth.
Ah.
So the system will use a vehicle license plate recognition to automatically charge tolls.
Okay.
So this applies to the vehicle that does not even have a high-pass device.
Yeah, sometimes, like, I'm driving my sister's car and she doesn't have that high pass. But I'm so used to going the high pass lane and I'm like, I kind of freak out. So how is this going to work? We need to know.
Yes, so the car owners without a high-pass
Yes.
device can register their payment method in advance on the Gwanghwadeok Bridge's pre-registration website to have automatic toll deduction. Or drivers who don't pre-register can pay manually within 15 days of their trip through the bridge's website or call center.
Okay.
And the city will also provide incentives for those using the high-pass device and pre-registration payment
Sure.
services. And they will offer a toll discount of 100 won per vehicle.
Oh.
Yeah. And there are fee waivers for those belonging to multi-child families
Sure.
or individuals with disabilities. So they will automatically be exempt as well.
So this is actually good. I mean, people might think, what's 101? But if you take that bridge, like both ways, like I do, like, every day, all the little hundreds of won, they do add up. So thanks for letting us know about that. Next, it's obviously, the holiday season and especially Christmas. Christmas is like the season for giving and sharing. So Busan City has selected some items as gifts, 답례품, for the whole 2025 Hometown Love Donation Program. So let's hear more about the program.
Yes, the Busan Hometown Love Donation Program, 부산시 고향사랑 기부제인데요. It's part of Korea's national initiative to encourage individuals to donate to local governments outside of their residence. And they want to promote regional economic development and a more balanced national growth.
Yes.
So under the program, people can donate up to 5 million won annually to a local government of their choice, not their home municipality. And this donation limit will increase to 20 million won starting next year. So in return, donors receive a variety of local goods or services worth up to 30% of their donation value. And the gifts may include items like local food, cultural experiences, or accommodation discounts.
Yes.
And donations are eligible for tax deductions.
Yes. So what are the new additions to these gifts?
So one of them is 텃밭 분양권. It means public gardening allotment rights.
Oh.
So donors can choose this allotment right to use a public garden space for their personal cultivation.
Nice.
Yes. And there are discount vouchers for accommodation at Kumyeonsan Youth Training Center, which offers log cabin-style lodging in the scenic area of Hwangryong Mountain. So these two gifts are available to donors who contribute 200,000 won or more. And in addition, premium local food like beef, seaweed, anchovies, coffee, and red ginseng products are available.
Oh, so there are a wide variety, but for those of you who donate 200,000 won or more, 20만 원 이상하면 더 좋은 답례품을 받을 수 있네요. So thank you for that. And by the way, if you're interested, you can check out the Hometown Love website, right, to get more information on this. All right, last, Busan City, the Busan Bus Transportation Business Association, and the Green Umbrella Child Fund, they have announced the launch of what they're calling the Green Sharing Bus Project. So they all lumped it in together. 초록 나눔 버스.
Yes.
맞아요?
Yeah.
Yes. What is this about?
So the initiative is a social contribution project aimed at creating a happy Busan for children. So as part of this program, the Busan Bus Transportation Business Association has donated 10 million won to Green Umbrella,
Yes.
which is a nonprofit organization for child welfare. So this donation will support various programs for unattended children, children in child care facilities,
Yes.
and youth preparing for independence. The campaign will also raise awareness for child welfare and the importance of sharing by decorating buses with messages and images that promote promote these values. So for this year, 3 city buses, lines 49, 100-1, and 169 will operate as green sharing buses until Children's Day next year.
Oh, very appropriate. And you can't miss the vibrant, like Kelly Green buses. So hopefully that'll bring more awareness. Well, thank you for all the updates. And of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Catherine.
All right. And now it's time for your traffic and weather. It is now 7:20. It's time for your traffic and weather. There is some congestion on the Dongso overpass from Pyeonggol ramp to the old Kaegum tollgate. Also, it's backed up on Mandok intersection to Namhae Expressway right on the Deokjeon ramp. It's also looking slow on Gwanmun-daero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baekyang Tunnel. As for the weather here in Centum, it is 2 degrees Celsius. It's going to go up to 10, so that is slightly warmer than yesterday. There is still a dry weather special alert in place over Busan. Across the country, we have below freezing, sub-zero temperatures in other parts of the country, with the mercury reading, are you ready? Minus 10 degrees Celsius in parts of the central area, Jeonbuk and Gyeongbuk. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for News Digest. So let's say hi to Haley first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you stop making noises when you
When I come
to the
in,
studio?
yeah, as they call my fart, it's not my farting noises. The door creaks. Should I demonstrate for you? And they're always like, Haley,
I know,
be
stop,
quieter.
yeah.
I'm like, yes, in general, in life, but that's not me.
However, I do want to ask you about our text topic. And by the way, I got to mention this. Hold on.
Okay.
Before
Go for it.
you
I'm
go,
gonna get
I
ready.
want to read Michael's message. Morning Wave에 보내드립니다. And I was like, what is this? Does this mean you're actually sending this to us or you're just showing us? I don't know. So maybe we can get that up in the screen a little bit. But it looks like a cute little green turtle, I want to call it. And there's like a pretty daisy-like flower on its back, but I'm not quite sure if it's a turtle. So maybe
I don't want a turtle. I had a pet turtle when I was
not a real
child.
turtle. It's a stuffed animal.
I was
Oh,
like,
there we have
Oh,
it.
got it. I was like,
저는 받을게요. Haley said no thank you to Michael. Michael님 저는
no, that one I'll take,
받겠습니다.
please. That's lovely.
No,
but I
you
was
already
like,
said no.
I don't want a real turtle. I killed one when I was a child. Yeah, well,
Wait,
it
not on
died. It
purpose.
died. I didn't like.
Okay.
But yeah,
You
it
can't say you
died.
killed a turtle.
Well,
It sounds like
I
you're a turtle
mean,
murderer.
I think from the lack of not cleaning the tank
Yes.
often enough.
Uh-huh.
I think it may have died, which is so on theme. God.
That is like indirect murder. So
I mean,
okay.
Can
Now
we talk
that-
about nice things now?
Okay, let's
Things
talk
that
about
give
your
me
comfort kits.
Okay, so I couldn't bring everything because number one is my wearable blanket. I do have a blanket with sleeves.
Okay.
And it is microfiber. It's the softest thing ever. It's like my second skin
Okay.
this time of year. So that, and then of course, you need drinks.
Yes.
So my tumbler, and then, which is also, filled with coffee, a good book. Just finished reading it. I'm going to
Okay.
go return this at the library, but check out another one.
Okay.
And then all the electronics, my tablet, my phone. Oh, brought my phone too. And that, which is also on our YouTube page. Subscribe and like. And then
Yes.
because, I get so anxious when my battery's low. And by low, I mean like 40% and below. I'm like,
I get nervous.
Oh, I get agita. So I need a charger, but a portable charger because I don't want to be tethered to an outlet.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, there we go. Oh, and all the food, like all of the food.
그 비명 소리가 헤일리님이 입장 소리였군요.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, so whoever's listening, the team out there, do something about the door. We're going to get into the latest news, though. The latest on the impeachment trials, investigation. What's going on?
All right, first with the investigation, in terms of the jurisdiction, because there has been kind of a territorial issue going on between the Corruption Investigative Office for high-ranking officials, CIO, 공수처, the prosecution,
Yes.
the police, and really whomever else. So they seems to at least officially have divvied up this jurisdiction issue.
okay.
So they issued respective statements as of yesterday morning. The CIO will now be in charge of the insurrection Neran investigation into the quote suspect Yoon Suk-yeol and Lee Sang-min, who was the former interior minister.
Yes.
And then the prosecution will be in charge of all other suspects. So we're talking about the top military commanders involved in martial law imposition, including former defense minister Kim Yong-hyun and the army chief of staff Park An-soo. So this is after several days of this back and forth and growing concerns of duplicate investigations. For example, both agencies have sent separate and repeated requests to President Yoon Suk-yeol for questioning. He, of course, has not complied with either one, but that's where we are. However, though, that's where we stand on the official front. But when we look into the prosecution, the respective agencies,
Yes.
they're not for this, at least it seems.
Oh.
The head of the prosecution's special investigation team, Park Se-yeon, so the lead person actually in charge of the investigation, along with a handful of other members from the team, actually visited the Supreme Prosecution yesterday, just about 3 hours after this was announced. And then they sat down with the Prosecutor General, Kim Woo-jung, for about an hour. And there had been speculation that maybe this visit was in protest. It turns out at least the Supreme Prosecution said that the Prosecutor General summoned these individuals, these investigators, to brief them, to inform them and kind of, not notify. They've already been notified
Yes.
of what's going to go on. However, Park and others reportedly said that passing the case on to the CIO, especially with President Yoon Suk-yeol and Lee Sang-min,
Yes.
it's like passing the core of the case to the CIO. So it seems the special investigation team really wasn't aware of this ahead of time.
So those are kind of like the logistics of what's going on. But what about the investigation itself? Where does it stand?
Right. So the authorities are actually trying to pin down where the planning for martial law began. And we're not talking about just on December 3rd, but perhaps even a month before. So
Yes.
we've talked about this briefly because there have been multiple accounts and testimonies of the president allegedly having said, I want to impose martial law or I'm considering martial law as early as November.
Yes.
And then the counterintelligence commander, Yeo In-young, said that the president repeatedly mentioned the need for at least emergency measures against the purported election fraud suspicions in
Right.
unofficial settings. And then the two men that we want to, that's been getting the bulk of the attention right now. The agency is the DIC, the Defense Intelligence Command. The former chief of this agency, Do Sang-won, he met with the current chief Moon Sang-ho and others within the agency. Oddly enough, at a Lotteria, a burger joint,
Yes.
on December 1st and discussed martial law, including securing the NEC, the National Election Commission server, at that time. I mean, just the oddities of this very casual setting. Oh, and here's the thing, not just the fact that it's a fast food
Yes.
place, but it's a not secure location.
Exactly.
There are now we know civilian CCTVs, and who knows whom could have been listening.
Exactly.
So in any case, Do, by the way, is from the former Park Geun-hye administration. His career goes back that far. He's suspected to be one of the figures behind proposing and planning martial law, along with former defense minister Kim Yong-hyun, and they're both from the military academy.
And so we have details now on the scale of the martial law forces who were dispatched to the scene on the night of December 3rd. I mean, we saw the footage, but we have the numbers now.
Right. So
Yes.
this is according to the Defense Ministry data released by Democratic Party's Baek Seung-ah.
Yes.
The Special Command and the Capital Defense Command used 107 military vehicles, including 70 buses that overall carried 1,500 soldiers and officers. They also carried various firearms. Although this wasn't distributed to the soldiers, the martial law forces did have over 10,000 bullets with them. So it goes a little bit partially against the statement that said that the forces were not carrying bullets.
Right.
Although the guns may have not been loaded, they were on the scene. They were
Yes.
there. Also, 12 Black Hawk helicopters carrying special forces flew to the National Assembly. And these special forces soldiers were apparently under orders to seal the National Assembly building, the Election Commission building, and the Democratic Party headquarters.
Ah, yes. So there's no refuting that. It seems
No.
the details have come out. Well, let's talk about this now. Next, the convention is that if you work hard and you save up, in terms of money, you can kind of climb up the income ladder, at least the economic ladder. Is this really true, though? This is the image we have. Always the 열심히 일하자, all that.
What is it? Raise yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
So, well, it is true, but for 2 out of 10 people, for 20% of the population.
Okay.
So we are talking about wealth or income in a 5-tier system. So we're going with the ladder metaphor. 2 out of 10 people manage to move up to the next rung or even down.
Okay.
For most people, they're more or less stuck where they are. So this is according to Statistics Korea, which analyzed the National Tax Service's income numbers.
Yes.
So 35% of the people overall moved up or down the income tiers, divided into 20% groups. So 17.6% went up. 17.4% went down. And for the people who did manage to go up to the top tier or were kind of born there, most of them did manage to stay there in the wealthiest 20%. So we're
Okay.
talking about 86% of people who are in the top 20% income group. They're there for their entire lives.
Oh, I see.
So wealth, you can argue, is a self-sustaining mechanism. Once you're there, you're there. Money makes money.
Yes.
Unfortunately, poverty was also a self-sustaining mechanism, if we're repeating that, because almost 70% of those in the lowest 20% income group stayed there. So this means that wealth polarization is not only very polarized, but it's also sticking.
And we've been talking about that term polarization.
Right.
One of the words for the year. So that's another way that's being used.
Of the millennium, really.
Yes. Well, let's talk about South Korea's population, which is declining overall. We know this, but there is one group that is actually going up. The numbers: foreign nationals and immigrants.
Right, and perhaps very relevant to our listenership. So the
Yes.
number of migrant workers, not overall immigrants, but people who are working out of that group, hit a milestone at over 1 million.
Oh.
So this is according to Statistics Korea's data on the 2024 immigration and employment numbers. So as of May of this year, so this actually could have increased, but foreign nationals living in South Korea who are aged 15 or older, that figure came to 1.56 million, which is an increase of 9 points compared to the previous year.
Significant.
Quite significant.
Yes.
Of these, 1,010,000 were employed. Also, the first time this figure exceeded 1 million. Also, about 875,000 of them had children.
Yes.
And the average birth rate or average child rate in these households was 1.6 kids, which is about a full point higher than the birth rate for the entire country.
Yes.
Overall increase seen in immigration because South Korea has increased the visa quota for foreign migrants and laborers.
Indeed. Well, do we have a breakdown by countries?
We do. So the biggest group is from China, but ethnically Korean Chinese citizens at 341,000.
Okay.
Followed by Vietnamese nationals at 123,000. And then also looking at an industry breakdown, manufacturing was the highest higher so far, by far, at 461,000, followed by the retail, accommodations, and restaurant sector. Also in third place, self-owning businesses and other service industries.
Okay.
But about a third of them were in temporary or day work positions. As for their pay, the biggest group was in the 2 to 3 million won range per month, followed by over 3 million won.
I see. Very interesting. What about their satisfaction with life in Korea, though?
Overall, 84.3% said that they were satisfied, but the other 17% say that they have experienced discrimination in the past year due to nationality or their Korean language skills. And going back to the families with kids, because it is a growing population, however, over a third of them said that they've experienced hardship with their kids' education, mostly with the parents helping the children with homework, making sure that they even had homework to begin with,
Yes.
checking up with the 알림장, the agenda, and also with the kids' grades.
Right. And everything is so online these days. But I think sometimes that makes it even more difficult.
Even more of a barrier.
Yes,
right.
for people who are not, ethically Korean or not good with Korean skills. Well, lastly, Christmas. Can you believe?
No, she said no.
I didn't even finish the question. Is next week. I didn't even finish the question and we get a little no. So chic. But the big question we ask each year, is it going to be a white Christmas?
So we're not, but people up,
It's like
up
never
over there,
in Busan.
over yonder, they are dreaming of a white Christmas.
Yes.
But this year, you're just going to have to keep dreaming.
Okay.
Yeah. So cold, yes. Snow, no. So this is according to the Korea Meteorological Administration, December 25th. Gonna be clear skies.
Oh.
And there's 20 to 30% chance of precipitation, but that also, 20 to 30%, I'm not bringing an umbrella. Don't hold your breath. Unless something drastic and unpredictable happens in the atmosphere. Actually, White Christmas is more or less more common than you might think.
Really?
Not this year, but more
Yes.
common.
Okay.
This will actually be only the third Christmas in 10 years that nowhere in the country is getting snow. Yeah, so. And the two other cases were 2022 and 2016.
Well, I'm going to be a party pooper for, in Korea, it's like the lovey-dovey holiday. Yeah, there's no snow. There's no white Christmas for all you people on dates.
Stay home.
Yeah, if the rest of us have to be with
Stay
family.
home with your comfort kit.
Yeah, go home to your family. Well, thank you for the news, Haley, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2.
See you in a bit.
All right. Let's get to some of your responses to the question today. What would you put in your comfort kit? So we have some responses. First of all, we have, let's see, I got to pick and choose. Oh, we have Leslie. I gravitate towards the English ones, the responses, because I can read faster. In my comfort kit, she says, favorite oversized hoodie, fuzzy blanket, a coffee, comfort food, and my favorite idol, I wonder which one, vegging out and watching an entire K-drama series together. Oh, together is important. Minimum 16 episodes, she says. I wonder who she's referring to. So that's one message over there. Benny says, comfort kit, I like to have a K-pop classic playlist, chicken and soup with rice meal, coffee or tea, book, if necessary, is what I would like to have. I like the in parentheses, if necessary. 꼭 필요하다면 책 한 권. So thank you for that. Tommy says, comfort kit, need my laptop and coffee with my desk and small space where I can be absolutely alone. Oh, you really like being alone, Tommy, I noticed. But hopefully alone, not lonely, is the whole thing. All right, so we're going to be back. Actually, can we get to our Cat's Pick? Is that okay? So let's get to Cat's Pick. For today's Cat's Pick, once again, this person is in the news. Britain's Prince Andrew. And this time it is because he has been caught up in an alleged spying case after cultivating this very unusual degree of trust with a Chinese national. Let's get to the clip from Sky News.
Yang Tongbo is the alleged Chinese spy who befriended a prince, whilst being linked to an organisation whose aims are to disrupt the UK. His relationship with the Duke of York, on the face of it, promoted British and Chinese companies, but was described as having a covert and clandestine element, with Mr. Yang accused of engaging in deceptive activity for the Chinese Communist Party.
It's clear that Prince Andrew has, unbeknownst to himself perhaps, been a risk to our national security. And naming H6 will send a shudder down many people's spine, the people who are in our elite, who are at the heart of our government.
That's because Mr. Yang appeared to have penetrated the British establishment, meeting Prime Ministers Theresa May and David Cameron while running his consultancy called Hampton Group International. Amid threats to name him in Parliament, Mr. Yang asked for the restrictions on his identity to be lifted, insisting he's not a spy, but a legitimate businessman. But MPs say he's one of many agents with an ulterior motive.
Yang Tembo at H6 was in fact not a lone wolf. He was one of some 40,000 members of the United Works Department, which the Intelligence Security Committee report last year said, and I quote, "and known to government, had penetrated every sector of the UK economy, spying, stealing intellectual property, influencing and shaping our institutions."
Mr. Yang was born in China in 1974. In 2002, he came to the UK to study, including at the University of York. In 2013, he was granted indefinite leave to remain. And through his consultancy connections, by 2020, he was attending Prince Andrew's 60th birthday party. But in November 2021, he was stopped at a port under counter-terrorism laws and asked to hand over digital devices. As a result of that, in March 2023, the Home Secretary directed he should be excluded from the UK on national security grounds. Evidence on his devices revealed his strong links, both with the Communist Party and with the Duke of York.
So yes, as you heard in that clip, very complicated story, but for the royal family, it might be another embarrassing turn, this revelation about Prince Andrew having ties to this alleged Chinese spy. This was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time to check in with Chris for Beyond the Headlines. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
It's a perfectly lovely day out. It's a little cold, but not terrible. So it's
we can't complain.
Morning. Yeah.
But I do wish sometimes, I wish we had snow in Busan. I do.
I do miss the snow, but my family recently sent me photos of the snow that was happening in their neck of the woods,
which
was in Northeast Ohio, and they were looking at like 2 meters, like 1 meter of snow plus some. And
1 meter of accumulated snow.
Yeah, it was 60 inches.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a little bit over a meter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So we don't want that much.
Not that much. No.
Just a dusting of snow. Hey, so for a text topic, we are asking you if you could create your own comfort kit, meaning like things that would comfort you. Not like a first aid kit, a comfort kit. Like people have been talking about like blankets, warm, fuzzy stuff.
For the
soul.
Snuggle emergencies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So what would go in your kit? And it can be things, it can be persons, it can be animals. What would you put?
I definitely a nice cozy blanket, very soft. But also I'm a big fan for a cup of hot chocolate on a cold day.
Hot chocolate. With marshmallows or no?
Either one. I'm okay. It's just hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
Yeah. And of course, just something like a laptop or a TV with some really good entertainment.
That's important, right?
Yeah.
The entertainment factor. Yes, nice. Well, we're going to dive into Beyond the Headlines. What do you have for us?
Well, it's been a good week for me, and nothing interesting has happened in the world. I'm kidding. It's been an intense week for everyone.
Yes.
So I wanted to bring some lighter news story to help bring in the cool. I was looking around and I saw a weird article about people putting googly eyes on sculptures.
Yes.
It looked funny, but it got me thinking about entertainment and how we spend our downtime. Other than listening to BFM, Busan's world leader in English radio entertainment, how do you spend your downtime?
My downtime. I am like literally down. Like I'm splattered across the floor. Now, my downtime, I do try to get some alone me time, whatever it is. but that's my downtime. I like to be alone. I'm just like Tommy.
Yeah.
Like I cherish the alone time as much as I love, people. Because I'm talking all the time. I
Yeah.
talk for a living.
Yeah, it makes it hard.
So I want to stop talking. And if people are around me, I'm going to start talking again. So, yeah. So, why are you asking?
Well, with the winter season upon us,
Yes.
I was I really do enjoy getting out and seeing the decorations that are up in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And this is actually the season of hiking for me because in the summertime I sweat a bit too much. But I can't do that every day. So I spend many of my evenings streaming videos on the internet. And according to the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism,
Yes.
in collaboration with the Korea Creative Content Agency, I'm not alone in this habit. Nearly 9 out of 10 Koreans
Yes.
have used what the agents call over-the-top video platforms or streaming platforms in the last year.
OTT. Yes.
OTT.
But is that really news? Because everybody is always talking about there's kind of like the big three in Korea, right? Which are, right?
Yeah, true enough. If you look at this study, this survey, Netflix was the most popular of the subscription platforms with 44% of respondents using it, followed by TVing and Coupon Play at 17 and 14.8% respectively.
Oh, okay. So those are number 2 and number 3 here in Korea. But if you do the math, generally speaking, that's like what? I don't know. Not 100 though. Something is off with the math. Because just doing it real quickly in my head, not 100.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did say 90%.
Yes.
And that's because most people are actually using free platforms. And I do say free with a caveat because these things are paid for by ads.
I see.
And the most popular, I'm sure because our program is streamed on it, at about 85% of respondents, the 85% of respondents use YouTube most.
Okay. So that is understandable. But what was the purpose of the survey, though? What were they trying to find out?
Well, it really helps give us a deeper understanding of consumer habits as well as a deeper look at how Koreans feel about the economy. If we look at what the data shows, it shows that the amount of people willing to spend money on streaming has actually decreased in the last year.
I see.
And the number of users willing to pay for anything at all has dropped by 1.8%.
Really? So what are people watching these days? Because I'm curious, to get a pulse on, what people are thinking and watching these days.
Well, it's mostly short-form videos with nearly 70% of respondents saying they watch them due to the convenience and ability to watch multiple videos in a short amount of time.
I see.
Which reminds me, have you gone to the short section of BAFM's NoTube page?
Oh, yes,
Lots
of course.
interesting videos there,
Yes.
particularly from All Star English. I encourage our listeners to check it out.
Yes. There are all sorts kinds of shorts on our page. So aside from you promoting our social media page, which is fine, tell us more because, what are people into?
Well, they didn't just look at the genre of media that people are consuming. I was honestly curious about what our listeners are watching, looking at the genres in particular. What is your go-to type of programming?
Programming?
Yeah.
I love law and police procedural. That's, I don't know, I'm just hardcore into thriller, mystery, whodunit, crime.
It's the Law and Order version, whatever.
I've seen every single iteration of Law and Order.
And it's really fascinating when I ask my students that same question. And the Korean Creative Content Agency also wanted to know. So in a different survey, they asked Gen Zers to enlighten us in a report titled, this is very creative titling, Gen Z Content Usage Trend. And to be honest, the survey included people from 15 to 69. They did release a report comparing Gen Zers to baby boomers in a different one. And it covered a lot of topics, including content themes, genres, and to the perception of AI-generated content.
Okay.
And the results drew out 5 key phrases that describe Gen Z content consumption style. They are paradox of choice, reality fantasy fusion, interactive emotional exploration, speedy consumption, and a mixed view on AI.
Ah, okay. So what does any of that mean, though?
Yeah,
Because it's a little convoluted.
it is a little convoluted.
What does it
but
mean?
let's take a look at one of the phrases,
Okay.
the paradox of context. Gen Z respondents said that they valued entertainment of over context when they watched videos or other entertainment. This is a paradox because most shows live or die based on the setting or the context of the show that allows the viewers to really fully understand the story.
Yes.
Many Gen Zers said they don't really care about the context as long as it's entertaining. Now, the reality fantasy fusion is a little bit easier to understand. Basically, they said if the show was funny or thought-provoking,
Yes.
they didn't mind if it lacked plausibility or realism. Essentially mixing fantasy with reality. The other ones, like interactive emotional exploration, deals with Gen Z's tendency to explore other people's thoughts and reviews before, during, and after content consumption.
Right. Sometimes, like, going back to the whole reality fantasy fusion, and you think like sometimes I'm watching along, like I'm forced to because someone has it on. The youngest, I'm gonna out you, Joe. Okay, so Joe, she's like watching something, and I'm trying to follow along, and I'm like, what is the point of this program? And she's like, but it's fun. It's like her way to de-stress after exams or
Yeah.
like in between studies. So she just watches like one episode.
Yeah,
And I'm just like,
sometimes
still, I'm like, it's so not plausible. Like, this is far, far from reality. You understand? She goes, of course I understand. I go, okay, just as long as you understand.
Yeah,
This is not real.
Sometimes it doesn't matter, just as long as we're having and enjoying ourselves.
Yes. So I get it. So I do understand that, and plus the whole speedy consumption idea. But what about the mixed reviews on AI?
Well, almost half of the respondents showed mixed reviews on AI in spite of them being highly familiar with the technology. The 40% of respondents had a negative perspective on it, and it was in fact higher than both Gen X, who came in second and at 27% negative, and baby boomers at 16% negative.
Ah, yes. So all of this is basically media consumption. But what about like active interest away from a little bit away from this?
Yeah, as it's the interesting thing about this survey, it really is about watching TV or streaming platforms. But it's only done by about 6% of Koreans as their favorite hobby. I'm sure everybody does it, but it's 6% of the Koreans' favorite
Say
hobby.
this is like my number one hobby.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
According to Gallup Korea's annual survey of hobbies, the top one is gaming. Whether it's
Gaming.
video gaming or board gaming, it didn't really say. But that's at 9%. At number two, tied with 7% each, so 14%, is exercise and hiking, with walking coming in at number 5 with 4.8%. So that's 19% of the population getting out and exercising on a regular
That's
basis.
good. Yes.
Rounding out the top 10 was listening to music, reading, golf, fishing, and travel. So whatever you do, go out and really enjoy it.
Yes, I'll be less of a homebody, more of an explorer. That's one of my goals. Resolutions for 2025. Well, thank you for bringing all of this interesting information into the studio for our waivers. And of course, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Oh, and Merry Christmas ahead
Same
of
to
time.
you.
I know it sounds so weird, but by the time I see Chris again, it'll be post-Christmas.
Yes.
Right. All right. So everybody, this was Chris once again with Beyond the Headlines. And let's get to our final song. This is a song request from Michael. 사랑은 맛있다. Did I say it correctly? 멋있는 게 아니라 맛있다 by 휘성.
Just wanna fall in love. Yes. Real smooth and PKT. Y'all know how we do it. Yeah, it's going down. I'm feeling this. Woo. Can I explain this to you? Yeah. All about love. 만남이란 상상만으로도 눈부신 낭만의 시작 한 잔에 진한 설레임의 향기가 온몸으로 퍼지는 화상의 시간 슬며시 두 볼이 붉어진 연인들이 단풍잎새처럼 느껴진 쓸쓸함이란 씨앗에 핀 사랑들이 무르익는 계절의 소식 마음에 번지는 흥분과 또 넘치는 기쁨에 뿜어지는 눈물들이 며칠을 잠을 깨워 또 깨워 밤새워 애태워 해봐도 그리움 못 채워 그저 편지만 몇 글자 보고 싶은 사람의 얼굴만 자꾸 떠오르네 fall in love 혼자보다 외로움보다 둘의 행복함 낮과 밤은 사라지는 사랑의 이전 별과 성과 진심으로 전나 사랑의 결과는 기분 좋은 변화로 믿음이라는 국도살이 박히고 더 아끼고픈 욕심에 푹 빠지고 살기 좋은 이 삶이란 이야기만 지나칠 만큼 입에 맴돌아 달콤한 말보다 사소함을 챙기려면 너도 사람의 교감 아주 자주 아픈 말을 낳는 질투가 주는 실수는 삐뚤어진 입을 길들여 이해하기 인정하기를 기억하고 실천하기 넓은 가슴이 즐겨 먹는 사랑은 맛있어 달빛 젖은 쌀만큼은 세상의 선물 지켜줄게 아껴줄게 영원의 주문 값진 사랑 쪽을 갈라 서로 놔두어 언제나 가슴에 품고서 모든 순간 함께 Come on Yo DJ Show them what you got right now 웃음이 번지고 행복함은 넘치고 기쁨도 커지고 Everybody sing this song right now 사랑은 맛있어 달빛 젖은 쌀 먹음은 세상의 선물 지켜줄게 아껴줄게 영원의 주문 brand new 값진 사랑 쪽을 갈라 서로 놔두어 언제나 가슴에 품고서
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
새로운 다우니. 건조기를 사용하면 섬유유연제 향기가 사라진다고요? 깜짝 놀라실 거예요. 다우니는 건조기를 사용한 후에도 향이 오래오래. 그래서 입는 순간까지. 다우니 7일간 피어나는 향수. 다우니.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산 영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
We are
the firefighter duo.
Winter is so dry. Let's prevent fire by keeping these 3 rules. If you take caution, you can prevent a fire.
The number one cause of fire in winter are electric blankets. Take special caution with highly flammable materials such as memory foam, toppers, and bedding.
Number 2, having too many appliances on the power outlet is dangerous. Always unplug all the appliances that you're not currently using.
Number 3, check the heater is off before leaving the house. Leaving it on for an extended period of time can cause a fire.
Let's all take part in preventing fire and have warm and safe winter this year.
Tune into BEFM 부산 영어 방송 for an emergency broadcast.
This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock and it's time for news highlights. Constitutional Court orders Yoon to submit martial law documents. The Constitutional Court has ordered President Yoon Suk-yeol to submit the martial law decree from December 3rd, along with minutes from the 2 cabinet meetings before and after the declaration. Yoon was also asked to submit his plans for defending himself and a list of evidence by next Tuesday, said a court spokesperson yesterday. Whether the orders will be delivered to Yoon is uncertain as earlier attempts have failed. The court said the hearings will be open to the public and the press, though they will not be broadcast live in order to prevent disturbances and maintain order in court. Yoon fails to appear before CIO for questioning. President Yoon Suk-yeol has failed to appear before the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, known as CIO, yesterday, defying a summons for questioning over his martial law imposition. Multiple attempts to deliver the summons to Yoon failed earlier this week after the presidential office refused to accept it or sent the mail back. The Presidential Security Service, PSS, yesterday blocked a joint investigations team's warrant to raid a computer server, citing protection of classified military information. Former and current military intelligence commanders arrested. The former and incumbent commanders of the Defense Intelligence Command, or DIC, have been arrested as they faced allegations of having discussed martial law operation plans 2 days before martial law declaration. Retired Army Major General Do Sang-won, former commander of the DIC, allegedly shared the plans with his successor, Major General Moon Sang-ho, and 2 other colonels, while having burgers at a fast food restaurant in Ansan, said the National Office of Investigation. Courts approved separate arrest warrants for Do and Moon, citing flight risks and risks of attempting to destroy evidence. Acting President Han to convene cabinet contemplate vote of contentious bills. Acting President Han Duck-soo will convene an extraordinary cabinet meeting this morning to decide whether to veto 6 contentious bills, including the Grain Management Act. The opposition Democratic Party, or DP, has urged Han to give up his veto rights, to not mistake his position as the acting president with the president. Han has also made a decision has to make a decision on whether to veto the special counsel probes into President Yoon's martial law declaration and allegations against First Lady Kim Gun-hee by January 1st. U.S. Fed Reserve cuts interest rates by 0.25%. The U.S. Federal Reserve lowered its benchmark interest rate by a quarter percentage point, bringing the rates to 4.25 to 4.5%, but signaled fewer cuts for next year, according to Fed Chair Jerome Powell Wednesday local time. The Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC's new projection showed that the central bank may cut rates 2 more times next year to a projected rate of 3.9% by the end of next year, up from September's projection of 3.4%. Powell said that the slower pace of cuts for next year really reflects with the higher inflation readings this year, with expectations of further inflation. And this was News Highlights. Say for Wagger Wagger. You guys are like, sometimes I get, it's kind of the scrutiny.
This a little bit of self-conscious. Yeah.
The little whisper here.
Like checking
what happened in the morning was I caught it early on when we were doing the camera check, you know. And then what I did was I got the alcohol swab.
Oh, yeah, because we have to sanitize. Because how many people spit into this microphone?
So we and then I got a new one, and then I put it on my hair, and then I kind of like tucked it to make it kind of go down. I don't know what happened this morning.
But it's alcohol, so it dried it out.
I know. So as I was drying my hair, I guess I got too flamboyant with the.
Anyone remember? I mean, because we're going down memory lane. Winter Sonata. 겨울연가? 배용준? He had the windswept hair, 바람머리. That was what it was called, the windy hair. 뭐 다르대요. That's from our producer. She's like, 다르지.
Can we have the Beyonce fan? I want the Beyonce fan.
Oh God,
the Beyonce.
The hair.
I want that.
I was like, what are you talking about?
She's like shaking her head and like ignoring us right now. It's okay.
I'll bring my own.
But you know what? Yeah. We have the mic. It's okay.
We do.
Yes, she can't control. She can give us evil dagger eyes, but yeah.
She is.
Yes. All right, so let's get into our first Waggle-worthy story. As some celebrities publicly supported the pro-impeachment protest by posting photos of themselves going to the protest, or even like paying for food for their fans who went there. So this is now, there's some backlash against some of this, right?
Right. Anytime anyone, especially a public figure, makes a political statement, you're bound to see some backlash.
Yes.
But some supporters of President Yoon Suk-yeol, they're now criticizing the celebrities who showed their pro-impeachment stance, which is, free country, so do what you will. However, in line with what you talked about in hour number 1, conspiracy theories, things that verge on truth but not truth, and also fake news, they're going about this in an unsubstantiated way. Let's just say. So this is so vague. What are they doing? They're reporting these Korean celebrities to the CIA.
Literally?
The literal actual
CIA,
okay. The Central Intelligence Agency. So there are lists circulating online of the celebrities with this comment on the bottom of that poster. Report them to the US CIA, and there's a link. So some netizens are even sharing photos of their completed reports. So people have done this. And by the way, this method isn't new. It gained traction 6 years ago during ex-President Park Geun-hye's impeachment trial.
Okay, so when you first said CIA, my first question was, why the CIA? This is a U.S. agency.
It is, so rumors, and there are rumors, and I'll get to why this is not real, circulated that if you have a record with the CIA, even if you're not, found guilty of anything, if your name is with the CIA, they could, or these individuals then could be banned from entering the U.S., getting visas, and even their children may have difficulty getting visas, including studying abroad.
Like if you're on the list.
The list, exactly.
Yes.
Well, here's where it's fake news.
Okay.
Well, because the agency that's in charge of visas is not the CIA. The CIA does not actually have jurisdiction on U.S. soil. At least they're not supposed to. So the State Department is in charge of that. So
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our next bit of news. And this is another kind of celebrity-related story, plus with something that's also, hot in Korean military service. So
always.
Actor Nainu has been exempted from military service after waiting 3 years.
Apparently, you can wait out the military alternative service. So this is a whole another aspect.
Okay, what's
so
going
actor
on?
Nainu, he has been recently exempted from military service after he spent 3 years on this call-up list for to be a public service worker.
Yes.
And his agency has confirmed this. So here's what happened. You have to go and get your military physical to see if you're fit to serve, different tiers. If you are in tier 4 or grade 4 classification, that puts you in non-active duty. So eligible for alternative service, 대체복무. But apparently, you also need to get a summons from the Military Manpower Administration, the 병무청, within a required time frame, which is 3 years. And then if the MMA doesn't call you up during the 3-year period, then you are exempt.
Oh, is that how it goes?
That's how it goes. That's how it happened. And this isn't just, he's not a singularity. According to the Military Service Act, individuals classified as grade 4 who are not summoned within a 3-year period, then you are granted peacetime exemption.
Okay.
Since 2019, we see about 10,000 individuals exempt from military service each year. And this year, we're on par to reach that number as well. But number one, for this individual, because he is, he's on a variety show. He's on a, on a well-known show.
It's a travel show.
It's a travel show, and he has shown physical capabilities on that program. So there are questions as to why he was classified as grade 4 to begin with. So this raised a question. What do you have to do, or what
happened to you?
Qualifies you to get you in that criteria? Number one, your academic, your schooling, dropped out from high school or below.
Okay.
Extremely skinny, BMI of 14. So if an individual is 170 centimeters, you have to be 40 kilograms.
Wow.
So very, very underweight, have a criminal record, or have a direct family member who's a fallen soldier or fallen police officer. Other physical issues may include rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, tuberculosis, or mental ailments that have lasted for at least 6 months. So we don't know. It's his privacy, that's his medical record, but a lot of people are raising questions because he is seemingly healthy and in the public eye.
Yes.
How? Also, netizens express for a bigger picture of why are there 10,000 people who fall through the cracks? Because the MMA isn't summoning them for the alternative services. So that's also a question to be answered.
That is interesting, all these questions. Well, on the other hand, once again, we don't know his personal story, so we don't want to
speculate.
Yes, not right now. All right, next, we're going to go to Syria for a story. CNN earlier this week had this astounding report of rescuing a man thought to be a prisoner who then turned out to be a former intelligence officer for the Assad regime.
Right. So in this very dramatic report,
Yes.
CNN and their foreign correspondent, Clarissa Ward, and her team reported from a secret prison, the well-known secret prisons underground in Damascus, and stumbled upon a hidden prisoner. Let's take a listen.
He tells the fighter he's from the city of Homs and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Okay. Does anyone have any water? Water.
Right. So in the dramatic video, in this, in what you couldn't see, he was hiding under a blanket when her team was accompanied by an opposition fighter. They found him, opened the cell, and basically they rescued him. And in the scenes that unfold, and you heard a little bit of it, she walks him out of his cell, and he is clutching her hands. I mean, in that clip, it was a very moving moment.
Yes.
She gives him water, and he gets a little bit of food. When he walks out of the cell, he looks up at the sky, and she narrates this is his first look at the sky in 3 months. So Ward called it one of the most extraordinary moments of her career. In the video, he's identified as Adel Garbal, who has been imprisoned for at least 3 months. But a Syrian fact-checking platform verified that he is actually a Salama Mohammed Salama, who's a former intelligence officer for the Assad regime, jailed for less than a month on extortion-related charges.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So Salama, he's apparently known as Abu Hamza. He's a first lieutenant in the Syrian Air Force intelligence and also notorious for his activities.
So not a good look. That's a major blow for a major news outlet.
We're talking about CNN.
Yes,
It's
the CNN.
It's the one of the top names in journalism. So after this report was released, people on social media began questioning coverage, even accusing the outlet of, have they staged this? Is this all staged? Of course, that's carrying it too far, at least from what we can see. One user but also highlights some details, how Salama had perfectly manicured nails, very clean clothes, and an overall well-groomed look for a man who supposedly stayed 3 months in jail. Also, words like shambolic has been thrown around. CNN said it was unaware of Salama's whereabouts, and they've been unable to make contact with him.
Not a good look.
No.
We need a heartwarming story. Do
we
have
really
one?
do.
Okay.
I do. So this
Yay.
is Season of Giving. So I've brought one more story. There's this major donor, and I think this individual, we featured him or her on our program before.
Yes.
But they're from our neighboring Gyeongnam. Is their identity a mystery? Because they've been making donations, and large sum donations for the last 8 years. Completely unknown, and we're talking about like tens of millions of won.
Sure.
So Gyeongnam Community Chest said that an anonymous donor gave this year as well. The donor called the office with a blocked number and said, "I've left my donation next to your collections box at your office."
Okay.
The employees go there. There's a bag.
Okay.
And a handwritten letter with cash, 60,547,000 won, over 6천만 won, and a handwritten note that says, every year, we see a drastic decline in newborns. And this raises concerns about the very existence of our country. So I hope this can help the high-risk newborns who are from families in need, or babies who are born prematurely or underweight. So very specific purpose.
Yes, and
for
as
this
I'm
money.
looking at the photo on our NoTube channel, I mean, it's like not even like there's like coinage.
There's
It's not like
coins, smaller bills.
Yes.
Right. So
I'm
this
so
you
curious.
can kind of assume that he or she like collect the money, you know,
Right.
dollar by dollar, one by one, and didn't just make a lump withdrawal at the bank.
It seems, yes.
So this individual, I mean, their giving, it goes back to 2017,
Yes.
where the Community Chest office received a huge surprise, 259 million won, 2억 5,900만 won, in just 1 year. Also, this person gives whenever there are tragedies. So this person has left this bag, including the Itaewon crowd crush, the war in Ukraine, the earthquake in Turkey or Turkey, and casualties from heavy rain.
Wow.
Their accumulated donation amounts to 672 million won, which is enough to buy like a home. Like
Right.
assuming they live in Gyeongnam, like a good, well-sized,
home.
decent home. So
That's amazing.
It's, right. We know how this person could come from wealth, but still, you know, how many rich people do we know that have not given 672
And the
million
timeliness
won? Right.
of
just
the donations.
How they're really attuned to what's going on, and
Yes.
just exactly, it comes from the heart.
Wow. So that leaves a warm, fuzzy heart in all of us. So thank you for that. And we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, now it's back to you, the Wavers. It's time for your updated traffic and weather. It is now time for traffic and weather. There is congestion right now on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyang Ramp to Jinyang Ramp. It's also looking backed up on Gaya-dero from Naengjeong Station to Jure intersection. Also slow on Gwangan Bridge on that top portion going toward Taeyeon Overpass. Also, there is a backup on Yeonsu-ro from Suyong intersection to Mangmi intersection. As for the weather, we are at 2 degrees Celsius here in Santem. It's going to go up to 10 today, slightly warmer than yesterday. There is still a dry weather special alert in Busan, in place over Busan. Elsewhere in the country, we have below freezing temperatures with the mercury reading in certain parts of the central area, Jeonbuk and Gyeongbuk at 10 degrees, minus 10 degrees Celsius. So this was your traffic and weather. And this is a song request from Taejin. 나는 반딧불 by 황가랑.
몰랐어요. 난 내가 벌레라는 것을. 그래도 괜찮아. 난 눈부시니까. 하늘에서 떨어진 별인 줄 알았어요. 소원을 들어주는 작은 별. 몰랐어요. 난 내가 개똥벌레라는 것을. 그래도 괜찮아. 난 빛날 테니까. 나는 내가 빛나는 별인 줄 알았어요. 한 번도 의심한 적 없었죠. 몰랐어요. 난 내가 벌레라는 것을. 그래도 괜찮아. 난 눈부시니까. 한참 동안 찾았던 내 손도 하늘로 올라가 조승달 돼버렸지. 주워 담을 수도 없게 너무 멀리 갔죠. 누가 저기 걸어놨어. 누가 저기 걸어놨어. 우주에서 마산으로 날아온 밤하늘의 별들이 반딧불이 돼버렸지. 내가 널 만난 것처럼 마치 약속한 것처럼 나는 다시 태어났지. 난 다시 태어났지. 나는 내가 빛나는 별인 줄 알았어요. 한 번도 의심한 적 없었죠. 몰랐어요. 난 내가 벌레라는 것을. 그래도 괜찮아. 난 눈부시니까. 하늘에서 떨어진 별인 줄 알았어요. 소원을 들어주는 작은 별. 몰랐어요. 난 내가 개똥벌레라는 것을. 그래도 괜찮아. 난 빛날 테니까.
Welcome back, everybody. Going over our text topic one more time. We're talking about making a comfort kit, kind of a comfort kit for the soul. So I'm going to let you think about that. Let that sit in for those of you who joined us a little later. And then we will read more of your messages towards the end of the program. What would you put in your kit? And no, you cannot take your family members. So let's get to our special interview for today. Microplastics. I think that also should be one of our words for the year because these are tiny pieces of plastic that are found everywhere, from deep oceans to the air we breathe, and these small particles can carry harmful chemicals and may be dangerous for both the environment and human health, as we have discussed many times. Scientists have also found microplastics inside our bodies, raising concerns about the long-term effects of this. So let's learn more about this and discuss how we can reduce the impact. We have invited Professor Mark Patrick Taylor, Victoria's Chief Environmental Scientist and Honorable Professor at Macquarie University. Let's say hi. Hi, Professor. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing great. So I wish, we could talk about, happy things, but our focus today is on microplastics and how they do carry harmful chemicals. So let's talk about this, Professor. How can these chemicals affect our human bodies, our health?
Well, I think let's go back to the beginning. At the moment, there is no causation, no direct link between microplastics exposure and adverse human health outcomes. It's association, not causation. And what I would say is a number of those studies have received quite significant rebuttals because of the methods that they've used identifying microplastics in testes, in the heart and in the brain. And they have questioned whether they have correctly identified microplastics. Now, I'm not trying to be a naysayer here, but I'm saying we just need to be careful because the technology for the measurement of microplastics is still being sorted. And that's one of the limitations for regulators, and we can come on to that later. Notwithstanding that, okay, it is very clear that microplastics themselves are sometimes made of toxic chemicals like polyvinyl chlorides, for example, yes, or it contain bisphenol A or phthalates, all of which are known to have adverse effects. But the key thing that we need to remember is dose makes the poison. Now, we are exposed to all sorts of pollutants in our lives, like, the shampoo we used this morning. If you drank enough of that, it wouldn't probably leave you in a good shape. The lipstick contains things, for example.
Yes.
The food chemicals that we use and the air that we breathe. So we are constantly exposed to pollutants that may cause harm at certain concentrations. What we don't know at this point is what that level of exposure is with respect to microplastics, let alone is there a definitive relationship. Now, clearly they're not natural, and intrinsically one would conclude they are not good for you, and that's the basis that we should operate on a precautionary basis. But understanding the toxicological effects on humans is still to be determined. So the study that looked at, and it was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, I think it was early this year, that showed that people who had a greater buildup of heart plaques and a greater predisposition for mortality and morbidity from strokes, heart attacks, they had more microplastics in those plaques. Now, that doesn't mean to say the microplastics cause the increased mortality and morbidity, heart disease. It just shows there's an association. We just, at this point in the journey of understanding microplastic, we just need to be careful and not over-interpreting the data.
I see.
That said, we know that there are chemicals of concern in microplastics, and we should take action to try and minimize our exposure.
Well, thanks for thoroughly explaining the difference, especially between there being no direct causation, not proven yet, but definitely it seems like there is an association for pointing that out to our listeners. Well, speaking of like precautionary measures, though, because, we are obviously a coastal city. We're a port city. We love our seafood. And so, microplastics, though, have been found in the seafood we eat. That has actually been proven. But so do we then, as a precautionary measure, are we supposed to, lower the amount of seafood we consume, or is that just going too far? We just don't know. What would you say?
Well, we know that seafood contains mercury.
Yes.
And we know mercury is not good for our health. It can cause significant decrements of brain capacity and affect neurological function and cognitive capacity. So particularly with pregnant women, they're asked to reduce and limit the amount of seafood and select particular types of tuna. And I'm afraid I don't have the details in front of me.
Yes.
So they're already asked to be cognizant about how much fish we're consuming. And that's from a chemical that we know is present in fish and we know is harmful. So if we follow those rules, for example, about minimizing, limiting, not stopping, but limiting fish intake, and particularly for pregnant women and young children, we would also therefore be protecting ourselves from microplastics. There is no advisory associated with microplastics in seafood at this point in time. There is advisory, say, with mercury. So I think, look, we cannot escape microplastics, and ingestion is likely to be the greatest route of exposure, whether it's from the plastics from your drink bottles, whether it's plastics from the Tupperware type of plastic food containers that we use, whether it's accidental ingestion from the fibres floating around in your house that land in your wine or on your food, etc. We are living in a sea of microplastics from which there is no escape. And indeed, the curtain that I can see behind you, I can bet you your bottom dollar that is made from material that will produce microplastics. And I think what we need to say to ourselves is we need to ask ourselves, do we have unnecessary use of microplastics in our home and environment? And if the answer is yes, and a simple example is fruit wrapped in supermarkets versus buying loose fruit. Do you really need to wrap? It's a total misuse, and that ends up as waste, which then we have to process or dispose of. But there are some useful microplastics, heart valves, for example, the plastics that we use in vehicles, the plastics that we might use in our kitchen for surfaces, etc.
Yes.
So there are really, the glasses that we might wear, there are really good uses. But microbeads made of plastic in our soap, etc., and exfoliant that we use in the shower is not a good use. It's an absolute disgraceful, wasteful use. And so we need to be, as consumers, we need to be cognizant of the choices that we make. And but there are some things that our lifestyles are intimately linked to the use of plastics. Now, it's not necessarily the use of plastics. It's also how we dispose of those plastics. Do we dispose of them in an appropriate way? And do we dispose them in a waste bin, or do we just allow them to get mixed up in the soil, in the garden or in the agricultural areas? I mean, we use a lot of plastic in Australia for vegetable growing, and then it gets wasted. But obviously that fragments and gets into the soil. I think we also need to say to ourselves, would we ever be able to clean up the environment from plastic that we've now contaminated it? And I think the answer is no. It is everywhere. It's ubiquitous, right from the Antarctic and the Arctic right down to the Marianas Trench. So we need to be cognizant of that, but also be realistic about what we can achieve, and then ask ourselves, what's the real risk to human health? What's the dose? It's all about the dose.
Yes.
What's the risk?
Well, Professor, I do want to go back to something you said, the unnecessary overuse of plastics, which of course does include microplastics. You gave us a great example, the microplastics in like exfoliants and stuff like that. So we're aware of at least that type of product, but what are other products that we should be aware of, maybe that we are misusing or overusing that do contain plastics or microplastics?
Microfiber clothes is one of them, and microfiber clothes have become very popular in the last 2 decades, and they're fantastic. They wear easily, they're comfortable, they dry easily, which is fantastic in winter. But they also wear and they shed microfibers. Car tires also produce plastics, and they degrade over time, excessive use. And there's really nothing we can do about that because we're not going to stop using vehicles anytime soon. And that's a manufacturer challenge.
Yes.
So that's something. But in the home, for example, even wooden floors which are varnished, and as you can see, the wooden floor behind me, that's a polyurethane finish of some description, and that wears, and that in itself does yield microfibers, which constitute microplastics. So my point is that they are in every facet of our lives. Now, I would ask you this morning, no doubt you brushed your teeth.
Yes.
Well, I hope you did. Right, before coming to work. Yes, very good. So did I. And what was your toothbrush made of?
Plastic bristles.
Correct. And the toothpaste in which the tube in which your toothpaste came from, what was that made of?
Plastic as well.
Yeah, and so my point is that there are really good uses for this. Tooth decay is not a good outcome for anybody. It's been shown, for example, that poor dental health is associated with poor overall health. So there are appropriate and good uses. So that's, most people don't think about the toothbrush. But so, for example, you can change it when it starts to wear and you can see the bristles not vertical anymore. Maybe that's time to swap it over because it will be slowly degrading, getting into your mouth. You will be ingesting it. So, my point is it's everywhere, but we can take practical steps to address it. In terms of clothing, as I mentioned, we can use natural fibers, merino wool or lamb's wool, for example, or cotton or maybe hessian, just natural fibers where you can afford it, where it's possible to swap. Same thing with carpets.
Indeed. So are there any new technologies or ideas that are on the horizon or are even being used, whether by governments or by individuals, that might be able to reduce the usage of microplastic and having that being leached, for us to spread that into the environment?
Well, there's lots of chemical substitutions that are occurring from bisphenol A for bisphenol S, but the problem is the substitute really any better? But people are now migrating away from the use of plastic bottles and coffee cups.
Yes.
I don't know what's happening in South Korea, but there's quite a movement for people to move away to reusable coffee cups, because the coffee cup that you use is lined with plastic. And we see in supermarkets we're swapping out now from often it's from plastic to paper coatings.
Yes.
And in Victoria we've introduced legislation which removes single-use plastic. So those knives and forks that you get and the straws, they are now banned from use, and the same thing with plastic bags. And so we are now making steps from a regulatory perspective and understanding the consequences of not being able to recycle those materials. So, I think what we're seeing now is the wheels of government and regulation are turning, as is industry, and industry is responding to those limitations by producing products such as, bamboo knives and forks. The knives and forks are not wrapped in plastic, they're wrapped in paper. Moving to, keep cups, for example, for your coffee.
Yes.
And looking at paper wrapping as opposed to the plastic wrapping. So industry is responding to the legislation and is also responding to the genuine consumer concerns. I don't know anybody who likes going down to the beach and see microplastics mixed into the sand. Right. In years gone by, it was cigarette butts. You may remember that. And cigarette butts were ubiquitous almost in sand. It's disgusting. And I think now we're at that position with microplastics. So consumer awareness and consumer demands are pushing government, who are then obviously pushing industry. So we're on a better journey. We're in a better place. But can I go back to the health question?
Yes, of course.
So the use of plastic has increased exponentially since the 50s. But what I would say to you, and I get you to think about, and all of your listeners, is what's happened with lifespans since the 50s? Now, I'm doing associations.
Yes.
Lifespans have increased.
Yes.
And they've increased in the onslaught of chemical exposure and insults to us from a range of things, whether it's from makeups, whether it's in food, whether it's from the vehicles that we drive and the emissions that it generates. So despite all of those additional exposures and the increase of use of plastics and microplastic production, we're still living longer. So you have to ask yourself on that basic assessment, well, microplastic in itself might not be good for us. We cannot directly say that they're causative in reducing lifespans. They may increase illness. We don't know the answer to that. But we're living longer and healthier in pretty much every place across the world, almost every place, almost every, despite the fact that we're increasing the chemical insults, including from microplastics. So that's why I say we need to be careful about over-interpreting the data.
Indeed. Well, I do want to thank you for schooling us, letting us know the details of why we should not be alarmists, obviously. Also about the no direct causation that has been proved between microplastics and to the detriment of our health. So thank you so much for coming on air with us and sharing the facts with us. We do appreciate it, Professor.
Thank you very much and have a great day.
You too as well.
Happy Christmas to people in Korea.
Really? Oh, well, did you say you spent 8 years in Korea, or you came to Korea? I did not hear you correctly.
No, I said Happy Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas, yes. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you so much. This was Professor Mark Patrick Taylor for a special interview, and he gave his thoughts and his expertise on microplastics that yes are, if you look at the timeline, are the longevity of our lives. We are living longer these days, even with plastics, is one of the things he said. So a lot of food for thought, definitely. But he also mentioned there are definite ways to cut down on our use or overuse of plastics as well. He talked about clothing, the fibers that we wear that are in the clothing, and of the obvious ones, cutting down on plastic usage. So not overusing the plastic. All right, we're going to get to next song. This is 사랑하긴 했었나요 by Lisa. This is requested by Benny. precise, which means Stephanie's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yay, can you believe Christmas is next week?
Oh my goodness.
It's so weird.
I love Christmas.
I know. Have you finished your Christmas shopping?
Oh no, I haven't.
I haven't even started.
Oh my gosh.
I am so
my
behind.
Christmas tree is up.
Yes.
So
ours has been up
that's
for
what
several
matters.
weeks.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes.
But that's about it.
But this weekend,
it's empty.
We have to shop.
As we all should probably be doing if we celebrate Christmas.
Yes.
Let's dive into our first insight. What do you have for us?
Right. So for our first insight, I want to introduce an inspiring book titled 내 안의 숨은 페이지들, roughly translated, The Hidden Pages Within Me, written by adult learners from Busan Women's College. These learners who face personal and educational challenges decided to share their journey, reflecting on their growth, struggles, and the power of learning. Now, I have a question for you, Catherine, and for all of our listeners. This book is all about personal stories, deep, real, and precious. So, if you were to write a book or a chapter about your life,
oh my gosh,
what would you name it? It's a hard question.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know.
Resilience.
Oh.
Why are you laughing? And why is the producer shooting daggers at me again?
It's the way you said it. Resilience.
I think that's like, I love that word these days.
Yeah, resilience. We need
I'm gonna
it.
go with
We all
resilience.
need it. Okay,
Yes.
very nice, very nice. Okay, well, I met a couple of authors of the book, Ms. Kim Mi-ok and Ms. Lee Jung-nae, and asked them about their contributions, and they shared insights about the unique titles of their chapters. So let's take a listen.
Yes.
저의 글 제목은 개도 안 물어갈 이놈의 팔자입니다. 팔자 타령만 하고 지낸 끝없이 힘든 가정을 생각하면서 이 제목으로 정하여 이 글을 쓰게 되었지만 지금 생각해보면 그런 역경들이 지금의 나를 만들었고 그래서 지금은 개도 물어갈 만한 팔자로 제가 변하고 있고 그렇게 되었다고 생각합니다.
어릴 적에 기억을 되살려 자서전에 참여를 하였습니다. 글 제목은 더 민생 배움을 통해 나아가리라. 죽음 앞에서 살아온 삶을 덤으로 얻은 인생 남을 위해 봉사하면서 열심히 살자라고 다짐하고입니다.
Alright, so the first voice we heard was Miss Kim Mi-ok.
Okay.
And she said her piece is titled 개도 안 물어갈 이놈의 팔자, meaning this wretched fate even a dog wouldn't bite or take. She chose the title as a reflection on her endlessly difficult life journey filled with lament over her fate. And however, she added with a smile that those hardships have now transformed her fate into something even a dog might find worth biting.
Okay.
And the second voice, Miss Lee Jung-nae, contributed a memoir reflecting on her childhood titled 덤 인생 배움 통해 나아가리라, loosely translating to a bonus life moving forward through learning. Having faced death and survived, she considers her life a bonus and has resolved to dedicate herself to helping others through volunteer work and to live earnestly.
I see. And so what seems very unique about this book is kind of like, you heard it in their voices, but very much, even the titles, the raw honesty.
I know.
Of
Love it.
the authors, what they can bring. Real life people.
And they don't just tell their stories of success. They talk about the hardships they face, the fears they've overcome, and the personal growth they've experienced through learning. Now, when I met these authors, Ms. Kim Mi-ok shared with me that she dropped out of high school due to financial difficulties, but later realized the importance of a diploma.
Yes.
And after passing the high school exams, she pursued a degree in social welfare. And Ms. Lee Jung-nae worked in a nursing hospital, and she faced a lot of challenges due to a lack of formal education. So her desire to help others more effectively inspired her to enroll in the social welfare department.
Amazing. Amazing. These stories, real life stories.
Yeah, definitely.
Love
and
it.
I got the hold of the book, and I was just going to check out just, a couple pages.
Yes.
It was so easy to read. I read all of their chapters in like 5-10 minutes. So if you do have an opportunity, I would recommend it. And talking to them made me want to learn and grow because learning is so important at any age.
Yes.
So, Catherine,
another question.
What would you like to learn? Something
would I
you've
like to-
never learned before.
Philosophy.
Ooh, okay.
철학.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like we're all getting older. I'm getting older, to be a little bit more reflective.
Yeah.
to get like deep within. So I wouldn't mind, learning more about philosophy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was thinking more like beatboxing. And even for the title, I was like, oh, you said resilience. And I was thinking like, my title would be like, I need to do the dishes tonight. Something like, I always need to do dishes. Like, but
because you're not in charge of the cooking, right?
No.
But you're in charge of the dishes?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah, doing the dishes, that's definitely a duty. Dishwashing duty.
Let's move on.
All right, let's get to our second insight.
All right, so our second insight focuses on the Busan-made film titled 원정 빌라, which is receiving widespread praise and gaining popularity. This film has topped the independent and art film box office since its release and has even made its way to the 6th spot in overall box office rankings.
Ooh.
It's particularly sparking discussions around its take on various social issues.
Oh, well, I want to hear more about this film.
Right, so 원정 빌라 is a mystery thriller set in a small apartment building located in a redevelopment area here in Busan. Yesterday, I met with Ms. Kim Hee-young, CEO of K-Dragon, the production company behind the film, and I asked her about the movie, so let's take a listen.
그 재개발 지역의 한 빌라를 배경으로 벌어지는 얘기로 이웃 간의 사소한 충돌이 계기가 되어서 결국은 사람이 제일 무섭다. 이런 주제를 가지고 있습니다.
네.
물론 한편으로는 가족을 지키고 싶어하는 흑수저 청년, 아들을 지옥하고자 하는 엄마의 모정, 어떻게 보면 비뚤어진 모성이죠. 이 모성이 부딪히는 얘기입니다. 그래서 어떤 관객분들은 우리 작품을 두고 빌라 디스토피아다. 혹은 한국 영화 콘크리트 유토피아의 기생충 버전이다 라고 말씀하시는 분도 사실은 계십니다.
So Ms. Kim Hee-young explained that 원정 빌라 is a story set in a villa. So, in Korea, villas are small apartment buildings within a redevelopment area here in Busan where a minor conflict between neighbors escalate and reflecting the theme that humans are the scariest.
Yes, yes.
And at the same time, it tells the story of a struggling young man trying to protect his family and a mother whose twisted maternal instincts clash as she tries to heal her son. And she shared that some have described the work as capturing villa dystopia, calling it like Parasite version of the Korean film Concrete Utopia.
Okay,
now,
okay.
Question: have you
Another
ever?
one?
That's what makes it fun, right?
Yes, yes.
Have you ever had any negative experiences with your neighbors?
Of course. I have.
Do you have any examples?
I think I've told the story before. I'll tell it again. I'm going to out my ex-neighbor because we moved.
Okay.
But we actually moved because of this neighbor.
Really?
One of the major reasons. They kept on insisting that water was dripping. We were on the 3rd floor of a villa. Water was dripping from our balcony to their second floor balcony. So they came up, they rang the doorbell. At first they were nice and said, "Oh, can you check to see if there's is it called dusu, like a leak?" And then we had experts come out with their instruments.
Yeah.
And they're like, "There's no leak." So we went down and said, "I don't think it's coming from us. It could be coming from the roof." Going down to the second floor.
Okay.
And they insisted it was us. So I had another set of experts come. It went on and on.
Oh my gosh.
It was a several year ordeal kind of thing. And finally I had enough. I ripped up my entire balcony, the veranda. I brought up the neighbor. I showed them there's no leakage. I spent 200만 원 on that.
Oh my gosh.
And I wanted to get that back, but I was just like, you know what? I'm going to move.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Just
neighbors.
Just avoid
Yes,
it, right?
yes.
Oh my gosh. Now, I bring this up because the film reflects the director's own experiences with his neighbor.
Yes.
So Ms. Kim Hee-young shared with me that director Kim Sun-guk, who took charge of the film, is a young filmmaker born and raised in Busan. The story reflects his own experiences. After living in a villa for 20 years, he once got back at a troublesome neighbor by slipping a cult pamphlet into her mailbox.
Oh my gosh.
And to find out what happens next, we'll have to watch the film ourselves.
That
Ooh.
is interesting.
You're interested, right?
Now I'm interested.
Now you want to watch it, huh?
I like it. That trailer was good.
Right?
Stephanie, you're good at this.
Yes.
Well, definitely this is like a 찐, like real Busan 영화.
Made
This is it.
in Busan by Busan.
Yes. Well, it is definitely worth our while, it seems like. So thanks for bringing these two insights to our listeners, and we'll check in with you next week, and Merry Beady Christmas.
Ooh, Merry Christmas. Bye.
Everybody, this was Stephanie. It's time to say goodbye already. Can you believe? Oh my goodness. So looking at your comfort kits. Some of you did want to take your family members, even though I said that as a caveat, you cannot choose your family members to squeeze into your comfort kit. But I forgive you. Some of you said like your 5-year-old daughter. That's understandable. So I'll let you slide on that one. For everybody else, a lot of cozy, fuzzy blankets. I think that was one of the most common things. And also books. Books made the list as well. So I certainly hope you have a warm and cozy Thursday. And we're going to end it with this song. This is Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow by Seal. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we got no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Oh, it doesn't show signs of stopping. And I've brought some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really just hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. As long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally say goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really just hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
Your Bridge to the World. BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산 영어방송이 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people on prevention and response in the event of a fire in multi-use facilities. First, the facility manager should thoroughly inspect firefighting facilities. In the event of a fire, a prompt report and announcement should be made, and then check the priority evacuation support and availability of evacuation. Second, You should close the door and avoid using the elevator when you evacuate. You should also move quickly, covering your nose and mouth with a wet towel and keeping your posture low. Third, if evacuation is not possible, request rescue from a location visible from the outside, such as a window, and take measures to prevent smoke from entering the interior. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.